Greetings, everyone, for another installment of a little bit of a video roundup here at the YouTube channel, Electric Avenue. It's early in the morning, trying to get my thoughts together, and so if I seem a little slow, I apologize. I mean, it could be just my normal aging going on, and if you hear a lot of banging and drilling, that's because the location next door is going through a overhaul. It had been a cryogenic health place for about 4 or 5 years, went through 3 different owners, is now turning into a children's haircuttery. So I can't wait to hear the screaming children over there crying bloody murder when really they're just cutting their hair. Between that and we'll see what kind of pumping music they have coming through the wall, I'm really excited. No, I mean, I hope it's okay. So, I mean, I wish that they'd asked me if I was interested in the space, but that didn't happen. They must be just trying to capitalize on as much rent as possible. Who knows? Look, I've already wasted a minute on this. So let me get started with today's new releases. And let me just quickly say thank you again to all of you who keep giving well wishes about my cat who's suffering from cancer. You know, it's sort of day to day with her right now. Some days are good, some days are terrible. And we're doing a lot of feeding by mouth with syringe just to kind of keep her filled up. She doesn't really want to eat on her own a lot of the time. Sometimes she will, but she's tanked up on prednisone, which kind of makes her a little lethargic. It's like having a zombie cat. So, yeah, and I got a little sun this week, so if I look a little bit like sunburned on one side of my face, hey, I wasn't anticipating 3 hours in a morning sun sitting in one direction. So, pardon for the peeling. And if I'm shiny, oh well, you're just going to have to deal with it. Okay, so I think the big new release this week for people who might be interested in his career is Sufjan Stevens. I don't know how long I can... This is the black vinyl version. We do have some of the indie version available too. I don't know how much of this cover I can show. This is the new Sufjan, A Beginner's Mind. It's him and Angelo De Augustine, who's assigning to his label Asthmatic Kitty. And this is basically an album of songs that were kind of inspired by watching a lot of movies. And, you know, Sufjan's given a lot of his music to movies, and this is kind of a folky sort of album, more in the line of Illinois, if that's sort of your Sufjan milieu, to use a big word. So not as much as like The Ascension, which came out last year, which was a more electronic album. This one's a little more folk-based. I think traditional Sufjan fans, people who like Carrie and Lowell, should like that a lot. And yeah, I hope it does well for him. Yeah, again, there's songs inspired by everything from All About Eve to Hellraiser to Silence of the Lambs. And you might not apparently know it so much by the lyrics until he starts talking about things like Jonathan Demme. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued. He also put out this release earlier this year that's now physical, Convocations. This is a 5-record set. Boy, Sufjan's been busy. This is all instrumental electronic music. And they're albums that are sort of musings on the death of his father. So he kind of, during lockdowns, it seems like he went into a very sort of spiritual kind of space, coming from a fairly spiritual artist, I would say. So anyway, check those out. One from last week that we didn't have on vinyl, and it's starting to circulate at least now. I don't have many of these, but it's the Ron Wood band doing a Mr. Luck, which is a tribute to Jimmy Reed. At the Royal Albert Hall, features guests Mick Taylor, Bobby Womack, Paul Weller, Mick Hucknall. So check that out. Okay, so for this week, we get a couple more Blue Notes in the classic series. We got Eric Dolphy's Out to Lunch, which is a seminal classic, and also Herbie Hancock's Maiden Voyage. Got your big Blue Note sticker there, mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio, manufactured at Optimal. I'm sure they sound fantastic. Another interesting release this week is taking a cue from Paul McCartney, apparently, well, or sort of. I don't know if that was intentional. Is Brittany Howard's Jamie Reimagined, which is her solo record from a couple years back. This actually features Childish Gambino, Bon Iver, Common, Michael Kiwanuka, and more. And they're basically remixes or versions of songs from Jamie that they wanted to do. Because Britney is, well, she's been out on the road with My Morning Jacket and hasn't really been doing a lot of new music as far as I know, and who knows what the future of Alabama Shakes is. So she probably and the band are the only ones. Angels and Airwaves return with their new album in this Mylar bag, and it's called Lifeforms. If you're a Tom DeLonge or Blink-182 fan, that might be of interest. It's been a while since they had something. Bob's Burgers, Volume 2. I would go into great detail as to all the people that are on this, but if you're familiar with Bob's Burgers, Volume 1, I think you kind of know what to expect. Really, I have a lot of sort of reissues here. So Isis, this is Panopticon. For some reason, we haven't received Oceanic yet, and I don't know exactly if it's coming or not because those were extremely limited. Let's see. Trying to get this so it doesn't fall over. Velvet Underground tribute album, I'll Be Your Mirror. This features Michael Stipe doing Sunday Morning, Matt Berninger doing I'm Waiting for the Man, Sharon Van Etten doing Femme Fatale. Also features Kurt Weill, St. Vincent, Courtney Barnett, Fontaine's DC, just to name a few. So that could be of interest to some people. Also, this has been streaming for a few weeks and it's out on vinyl and CD. I don't know, maybe CD. Maybe it's just vinyl, I think. Is Angel Olsen's Isles EP. It's been a little while since her last incredible record came out. And this one is 5 80s classics done in the Angel way, sort of slow and synthy. She does Gloria, the Laura Branigan song, Eyes Without a Face by Billy Idol, Safety Dance, If You Leave, and what's the last? Oh, Forever Young, Alphaville. Speaking of Billy Idol, we didn't have this last week. We had the CD, but it's his new EP, the Roadside EP. So this is 4 new songs, including Bitter Taste. Pretty good song. You might want to check it out. Produced by Butch Walker. Billy's still out there, and he's got a Christmas album on the way, so be on the lookout for that. Okay, back into reissue territory. We have Rare Earths Ma on red vinyl. Some people might be looking for that. Only 2,000 worldwide. Boy, some people are waiting for this. Porcupine Trees, The Incident. This was the last record that they did before breaking up for a long time. So Stephen Wilson, Richard Barbieri, Colin Edwin, and Gavin Harrison. I don't know if that's really considered their best record. Probably not, but it was the last one before their long hiatus. Elliott Smith with another reissue of his self-titled record. This is the 30th anniversary, or 30 years of Kill Rock Stars, and this was his debut remastered from the original source material, whatever that means. Hey, the Pixies, Trompe Le Monde, very limited version on green vinyl, 30th anniversary. Don't have many of those, and they probably won't stick around for very long. The Blue Stingrays. This is called Surf and Burn. And they basically, like, this is a newer band, but doing, like, kind of very surf-inspired stuff. It can't all be the Ventures now, can it? One of my favorite bands of the 90s, London Suede with Head Music, their fourth album. This is on double clear vinyl. It had Electricity, She's in Fashion, Everything Will Flow, and Can't Get Enough. They're sort of a British glam rock band, and they got dumped in with Brit pop, but they're not really so much that Oasis whatever vibe. Golden Earrings Cut. This is a very limited reissue, 1,500 gold copies. This is the one that has Twilight Zone on it. Again, it's very limited that we have some of these, as with everything right now. Uriah Heep's Look at Yourself, kind of a redesigned cover, I think, of the original, which was sort of an insert situation. It's on clear vinyl. So that might be of interest to some people. Let's see. Let me cover some of these CDs, and then I'm going to come back to a vinyl thing at the end here. But Miles Davis, The Lost Concert. This, as far as it's from Paris in 1991. It had Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, John McLaughlin, John Schofield, Dave Holland, Jackie McLean, and Joe Zawinul. Yeah, I don't know when or if this is coming out on vinyl. They already did a couple of there was I want to say a trio and then a quartet or something like that. Maybe it was a septet. Anyway, a couple years ago, there were a couple in a series of live recordings that came out, and only one of them made it to vinyl. So I'm not really sure who is putting these out. I mean, this says licensed to Sleepy Night Records, so I don't really know, but I guess that vinyl is so tough to make right now that they're probably just trying to get what they can out on CD. But that would probably be of interest to some people. Also, Chick Corea's acoustic band. Chick died this year, unfortunately. This is with John Patitucci and Dave Weckl. It's live. Concord Jazz. I don't know what year this was. Well, it says originally 2018. So I don't know if this was out once and then it was not, or it was maybe not out physically. I really don't know. I should get my research in before doing this. If you guys only knew how I was just doing this on the fly sometime, you'd be like, how does he remember all this stuff? All right. First Steely Dan live album in over 25 years. It's called, I don't know, there's a good shot here, Northern Corridor. I have to peek out underneath. Features Hey 19, Aja, Reeling in the Years, and more. 12 tracks. It's only on CD this week. Vinyl is next week. I have no idea why they chose to do it that way, but they chose to do it that way. Maybe they couldn't get the vinyl made in time. Also, Donald Fagan's The Nightfly live in the Steely Dan territory. It's a great album. Done solo, performed live with the Steely Dan band in 2019. So maybe from the same tour. That's a great album. Ringo Starr with another EP, Change the World. Yeah, 4 songs. Let's Change the World, Just That Way, Coming Undone, and Rock Around the Clock. I'm not really sure, but Ringo, he's 80 now? So, speaking of old guys, hey, William Shatner with a new record, CD called Bill. Bill Shatner, if I can call him that. I don't know Bill personally, but seems like an okay guy. Well, depends on who you ask. He's been sort of doing these blues records and Christmas records sort of quietly, if you're not paying attention. He turned 90, and this one actually is signed to Republic Records, which is an arm of Universal. So this is like a big time, because I think the other ones were all on indie labels. If it's of note to you, the Duet Partners he has here feature everyone from Dave Koz, Robert Randolph, Joan as Policewoman, Brad Paisley. Brad Paisley is a big fan. He does a lot with Brad Paisley. Joe Walsh, Daniel Miller, who I'm assuming is the Daniel Miller of Mute Records fame. I'm not really sure. John Lurie and Joe Jonas. All right, so if you want to check that out, it's called Bill. I mean, you can hear a what is this? A 90-year-old? It's not an octogenarian. They'd be a nointogenarian. I don't know. A non-genarian. Somebody who is really old, still doing it. New Billy Strings album on CD. I can't wait to hear this. Renewal is what it's called. Wish there was a record today, but I think it's coming a little bit later. 16 tracks. Great sort of modern bluegrass stuff. Jesse Malin. His new record is a double. It's called Sad and Beautiful World. Obviously, I think it's sort of inspired by sort of living in pandemic, but Jersey, you know, sort of Springsteen-esque, but not as well known. Apparently, he just did a show recently at the Stone Pony. One of my customers went to. That Rev Run showed up, and they did It's Tricky and Walk This Way. So check out Jesse. Another sort of like Jersey or I don't know. No, this guy's more PA, but a local sort of like based artist, as far as I know. Low Cut Connie, and this is his sort of also pandemic inspired album. Tough Cookies, the best of the quarantine broadcasts. So he'll do everything. I mean, these are all covers. Little Red Corvette, Heroes, Dress You Up, Video Games, Lana Del Rey, I Shall Be Released, It's Raining Men, The Message, La Freak, Be Careful, which is a Cardi B song. So that might be sort of fun. All right, and lastly, I'm just showing these because I was kind of a fan at the time, and unfortunately, some people would say why. But Robbie Williams, yes, Robbie Williams, who was in a British boy band called Take That. They're reissuing his first two albums on vinyl, Life Through a Lens, and I've Been Expecting You, which is the first one I ever heard. This is the one with Millennium on it, which is probably the worst song on that album, and very dated in a way, but you know, he was trying to milk the whole James Bond sort of look at the time. But he's somebody who, you know, if you've been in a boy band, and as Justin Timberlake would probably attest, it's kind of hard establishing yourself as a credible artist after that. And he did a lot of sort of Oasis kind of inspired, maybe more pop than that, but worked a lot with Chris Sharrock, who was a drummer in World Party, and kind of became a producer and songwriter. And they wrote some great stuff together. So these albums, they do feature Angels, which was eventually a hit later for Jessica Simpson, and what this one has, his cover of She's the One, which was a World Party song, but also like songs like No Regrets, which was a great song that he did with Neil Tennant of Pet Shop Boys and Neil Hannon of Divine Comedy, the two Neils. Very like tuneful British rock pop stuff. The only reason I started to bring that up is I actually saw Robbie Williams at the TLA, which is what, maybe a 500-seat room. I don't know, probably not more than that I would think, in Philly on his sort of debut tour. It was one of those shows where you're like, oh my gosh, what's really happening here? Because it was sort of pre-internet explosion. And he was huge in England already, so all of these people flew over from London or the UK to see him in Philly because you couldn't get a seat close to him at all in Europe, and America really hadn't gotten the memo yet. And I just remember standing very close to the stage with my wife that night, and as soon as he walked out and if you've never seen him sort of live, he was sort of like, he's quite the showman, and he quite, you know, interacts with the audience, struts around a lot and whatever. It's kind of fun and funny, but amusing. But anyway, as soon as the show started, if you've never been in the TLA, at that time, the floor just basically went kind of down and you would stand. So we had all these people behind us that started pogoing immediately, and they all eventually were pogoing and crushing us towards the stage. I remember having a guy behind us with a girl on his shoulders, and she kept kicking me in the back with her feet because they kept moving forward and forward. Anyway, it was one of those scenes where it was like, oh my God, this is like, it must have been what the Beatles were like for people back in the 60s with the screaming and the crush and all. That's sort of a rare experience. But anyway, that's a very personal story. But I just wanted to share it. Okay, so thanks, Robbie, for putting those out. Last thing I wanted to mention today before I sign off is Record Store Day, Black Friday Record Store Day. I have to have my orders in like now. So, they only give us about a week anymore to kind of feel out from people what they want. So I apologize if I haven't, gotten to you, heard from you. I basically do what I can to get all this stuff together. I want to be frank and say I find the list slightly underwhelming. I might have mentioned that in another video. I mean, there are some sort of hit things on there that I think people will be looking for. The live Jimi Hendrix, the early Aerosmith. I don't know. There were a few things that really sort of popped out at me, but nothing that sort of like on the level of like a DG's or on the level of Pearl Jam, something like that. So I would say watch this space because there might be some late announcements, but frankly, there are so many things coming out on a weekly basis that I don't know if we're really going to miss those extra things too much. There might be enough other things in the store at the time that people will be just as interested in, and it's sort of like whether or not we can get all this limited stuff. As you know, it's a very tough time to source the vinyl, and now we hear of paper shortages, and well, guess what all album covers are made out of? Paper. So big amounts of paper, right? So I don't know what this all entails, but anyway, keep a lookout, and looks like my UPS guy just dropped by, so I'm gonna sign off. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend. Check the Facebook page because there's a lot of used soundtracks, especially vintage ones in good shape that we just got in, but they're selling fast. So, all right, take it easy. Thanks again. See ya.